Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just hit the link in the show description to support now.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Every idea starts with a problem. Warby Parker's was simple. Glasses are too expensive. So they set out to change that. By designing glasses in-house and selling directly to customers, they're able to offer prescription eyewear that's expertly crafted and unexpectedly affordable. Warby Parker glasses are made from premium materials like impact-resistant polycarbonate and custom acetate. And they start at just $95, including prescription lenses. Get glasses made from the good stuff. Stop by a Warby Parker store near you.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous two-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
This is Writers on Film, the only podcast dedicated to books on cinema.
E che è rigorosamente vietato fotografare ed effettuare le registrazioni audio e video durante le produzioni. Grazie per la collaborazione. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The screening is about to begin. We remind you that for the entire duration of the screening, all mobile phones must be switched off, and that any form of audio or video recording are strictly forbidden.
Hello everybody and welcome to Writers on Film Festivals. I'm at the 81st Venice Film Festival and I am being joined by Nicholas Bell.
Hello there.
Who writes for
Ion Cinema.
And David Mouriquand, who writes for
EuroNews Culture. Hi John.
Hi David, hi Nick, and we've just seen the opening film of this year's festival, which is Tim Burton's Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. What were your first thoughts, David?
It could have been a lot worse. I was actually telling Nick before we got in that I can't remember, well, I can remember the last time I enjoyed a Tim Burton film, and I have to go back to 2007 with Sweeney Todd, and before that, 2003 with Big Fish. So I was apprehensive. But, also thinking, a sequel. He's only done one in his career. That was Batman Returns, also with Michael Keaton. And now he's back with this. So, maybe this was, a chance to, rejuvenate things a little bit.
It really is kind of a sequel that depends upon you knowing the original film. What's your relationship with the original film, Nick?
I think it was a childhood favorite. I haven't watched it in years, though. But I think David's thought is a glass half full approach, because I felt it was a little. Again, I'm a fan of the original, but it felt a bit unnecessary. And there are two people in particular I think that are a saving grace to it. But otherwise, I felt like it squandered a lot of its talent.
Who were the two people who were the saving grace?
Michael Keaton and Catherine O'Hara.
Damn right.
Right, the older people, in the older cast members, I should say. So just to give everybody a sort of idea of the story. I saw the original in the cinema. I can't really remember what the original was. I think a lot of people might struggle to catch up with exactly who people are. Winona Ryder is Lydia Dietz.
Mm-hmm, yes.
Okay, give me a Dietz, as we all say from time to time during a festival when we meet new people. Or I'll email you the deets. So she's Lydia Dietz. She's hosting a sort of haunted house show, which I can't quite work out what the show consisted of. A sort of paranormal investigation.
Not debunking, kind of deghosting houses of people that are haunted, because she can correspond with the paranormal, is what I got from that. But what I was confused about that is it's a set of the house that's recreated, which we never go back to after the beginning, which I thought was kind of odd. Because the opening shot is almost giving me Norma Bates vibes, sitting up in the window.
Mm. Yeah, and she's essentially raided Morticia Adams' wardrobe, and now she's presenting this this show, and but she's still haunted by Beetlejuice, and meanwhile in the afterlife, Beetlejuice hasn't forgotten and is still pining for that psychic connection that he had with her, and to carry on the plot, there's also a subplot with Monica Bellucci, who we discover is Beetlejuice's ex-wife. And she, through happenstance, manages to staple herself back together and is hell-bent on getting Beetlejuice's soul back and walking him down the aisle again, which I have to admit was, I think, one of the most disappointing plot strands for me, because I think Monica Bellucci was a little bit wasted in this film. It was, I think, like the original had a sort of anarchic, messy quality to it, which is why it worked. And this, to be fair to the film, Beetlejuice Beetlejuice does recreate that messiness, because there are several plot strands going on at the same time, and it doesn't really all make sense, nor does it have to. But I wish we could have spent a bit more time with Monica Bellucci's character and get that whole kind of stalkerish vibe, and instead she's kind of sidelined as this, Deus Ex Machina at the end of the day, and yeah, it felt a little bit like an afterthought, that plot strand. I don't know what you made of it.
Oh yeah, I felt the same, because can we get a scene where she's not asking where Beetlejuice is? Like, she wouldn't pass the Bechdel test for sure. And she felt, like a Vampiro ripoff a bit. There was just nothing distinguishing. Although I did like the scene where she staples herself together to the Bee Gees. I thought that was nice. But then
tragedy. Yeah.
But we never get a moment like that again.
Yeah, that was a really sort of promising setup, and her first kill was a very cool kill. Yeah, there were so many strands of this. I mean, it's interesting, ironic even, that she was stapling herself together, because it sort of felt like the film was a little bit stapled together. Yeah. I mean, Willem Dafoe has a significant part, which doesn't make that much sense. There's a graffiti artist who turns up and then disappears and turns up periodically. There are Jenna Ortega playing Winona Ryder's daughter. They have a serious subplot about a missing father. That I don't know. There are so many subplots. I was kind of trying to work out what the actual plot was.
Yeah, and Jenna Ortega, I mean, we don't really see her doing anything that we haven't seen before from her, and I think that's a bit of a wasted opportunity, because, I mean, she was clearly cast because she is, the go-to goth girl at the moment, and while she isn't that, gothic or wearing too much black or anything like that, but, I mean, it is essentially another kind of sullen teenager role.
You see her right at the beginning in a girls' school.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Wednesday vibes are there as well, and of course it is ultimately a film about a mother-daughter relationship. It's also, I mean, I don't know, I got quite a nice subplot about, almost energy vampires, like, because you've got Justin Theroux's character, who is Winona Ryder's new fiancé. And he kind of, sucks the life out of her. You've got, Jenna Ortega's character who befriends a young man who may not be all that he seems, and he is also some sort of, psychic vampire, so to speak, you know, just sucking the life out, and of course Monica Bellucci, who's sucking the life out of people quite literally. So I mean, there were strands that were interesting, but none of them really amounted to anything.
I thought it was also really exposition heavy, because we have to explain two characters that aren't really there, including, because Jeffrey Jones as Charles Dietz, they kill him at the beginning, so we see his face, but we don't ever see him, and I'm assuming that's because of the sex offender scandal that actor was a part of 2 decades ago. So I think that's a workaround on that character. But then yes, the dead father of Jenna Ortega, we get all these asides about how he died and why Lydia can't see him, and that is why the conflict is Jenna Ortega is not close to her mother because she thinks she's a fake, because she can't correspond with the dead dad. And then when we finally realize that...
Spoiler.
Well, let's just say that they don't really explain why that's happening.
Yeah. That was a glaring inconsistency, I thought, absolutely. Yeah. Going back to what David said right at the beginning, and you described it, Nick, as him being a bit glass half full. I have to say, I sat through the film and enjoyed bits of it, and I wasn't particularly bored or anything like that. I kind of, which feels like that's Tim Burton's entire career to me. I've liked it, but I've not really loved anything aside from perhaps Ed Wood. Yeah. And the second Batman,
Edward Scissorhands, I'll throw in there.
The animation work he's been involved with has been, exceptional, and bits of this felt better when it was more animated than real life.
Right.
And I think, sorry, David, I think that Winona Ryder is seriously bad in this film. I mean, she's really? Actually not good. I don't think she sort of has Stranger Things more than any Lydia. There's no sort of perkiness to her. She's strangely lifeless. There's even a scene where she runs and she runs like a much older person,
I did think she was
ageism. Sorry.
No, I thought she was a little lifeless too, and I thought of Stranger Things because that feels like the same character. But at the same time, and the screenwriters are two of the guys from Wednesday, and one of the other guys worked on Dark Shadows. I happened to notice, but I don't know how we couldn't have imagined Lydia Dietz as an adult, because she doesn't seem like one. At all. Like, there's nothing, she can't communicate, like, I don't know, there's no growth to her. I don't really believe her as a character. She's just there to serve.
But I thought the connectivity between her and the original Beetlejuice and this one was purely to do with hair. Mm-hmm. It's like that Queen's Gambit thing where it's like, oh, she's 11 years old and she's an adult. She has exactly the same haircut.
Yeah.
And I didn't really believe that the character was the same, because the character seemed to be, as a child, she was like grumpy teenager, and as an adult, she's this sort of like really weak character.
But there is a line in the film, like, not to defend, because I do agree that, it's not the greatest performance, but there is a line from Catherine O'Hara saying, where's that kind of angry goth girl that I used to know as a child? And I think that to me, maybe that was part of the characterization of that character, of essentially, this is somebody who has lost her energy, has been drained from her,
right?
And that maybe at the end, she gets it back with the connection to her daughter, and a bit of a spoiler, not accepting a marriage proposal. And I think in that respect, I do give the film props, for. There is a stunted adolescence there. There is something that this character hasn't, been given has lost her partner, her husband, has lost her daughter. So she is, when we find her, she is just essentially being drained of all energy by her new partner. So I don't know, that didn't bother me as much as other things about this film. But I will say that I did appreciate the fact that Burton kept the stop motion effects, didn't try and make it too glossy, didn't try and put too much CGI, and basically was faithful to the original in that respect. The effects are a little bit shonky. It is visibly kind of claymation, and that works, because for me that's what made the original film such a joy to witness the first time round.
And Michael Keaton's performance, which you both sort of highlighted earlier.
Yeah, he still got it.
Well, he seems like he's having fun, which maybe that's what's wrong with Winona in this. She doesn't seem like she's having any fun. And Keaton, every chance he gets, he's kind of digging into it, and that's when it's enjoyable.
Yeah, he's sort of that Groucho Marx character. I thought right at the beginning there was going to be a little bit too much of him, and everything he did seemed to be like almost trailer bait, of a sort of like... he was constantly doing entrances and exits, and there was no middle bit of, well, why are we actually looking at you now?
Right. And why is... Because from what I remember from the first one is that he wants to marry Lydia so that he can return to Earth and wreak havoc. So is there no one else that was possible in the interim for him to do that with? I don't know.
Nick, he's obsessed. I mean, you can't... Yeah.
We were all a little bit obsessed with Winona Ryder around about that time, but I guess, I'm not sure if that still holds true. But certainly Michael Keaton seems to have...
Speaking of trailers, because I happen to have seen this one's trailer, there's a difference I noticed. When the girls make fun of Jenna Ortega at school and she turns and says something to them, the line in the film was different from the movie, right?
Oh, right. What was the line in the trailer?
It was much more comprehensive, like a dig about them taking Pilates classes or sleeping with their instructor or something, and it's pared down quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. Here it's just like when you're on your third kid in your second divorce, he'll be laughing then. So, yeah, it kind of struck me as kind of weak in the film. So, you should keep the trailer hit.
Yeah, I don't know why. And I noticed that there's one F slur, there's one F word, and then the other one they blink out clearly to keep a PG-13 rating.
Yeah, you're allowed one F-bomb.
So maybe that was why they pared that line down? I don't know.
When the energy is high and the music is right, pushing past your limits becomes that much easier. Take a reggaeton run or strength class on the Peloton tread, and you'll quickly see why these are the workouts you've been searching for. Every day brings new challenges from expert coaches who train and speak the same language as you do. Level up your workouts with Peloton Tread. Find your push, find your power. Peloton. Visit onepeloton.com.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
It seemed odd.
I feel like I'm the one who's defending this film more than I actually would want to, because I think it's perfectly fine, but I mean it's not something I'm going to go back to anytime. But like that, maybe the language was pared down, but I did enjoy some of the gore. When you do see some of the bodies, there are some kind of blood splurts. Yeah. There are, there's at one point, again, sorry, mild spoiler, we see a Beetlejuice baby who's like gnawing on her mum's kind of ankles. And I don't know, it's little bits like that which kind of made me feel, I mean, it didn't feel as watered down as Tim Burton's previous films in the last 10 years. And I thought that maybe the spirit was the same as the original.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Again, it's fine. I think I felt like it needed to be something more. That all these years later, because imagine the reaction that original had was this was an innovator. This was a creative innovator, and I don't know that if people that are completely new to him to this film would feel that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think the influence of the first film is A, the rest of Tim Burton's career.
Yeah.
And B, the sort of aesthetic. There's an aesthetic that he's carried on, but has been carried on by, I've seen people walking around with T-shirts and stuff, and, there's a lot of merchandise around the first one as well. But I find his career has been sort of plagued by his greatest strength, which is there any there once you get through the set design? And this film especially, there was like 2 or 3 moments where you feel like you're trapped a little bit inside the sets, and the characters are trapped as well, but it's almost like that's also his career, that he's a set designer who's been allowed to make movies, and he's strongest when he's doing the set design and not so good when he's actually pulling together a coherent plot.
And over the years it has feel like that kind of quirkiness, the kind of quirky aesthetic has become more performative than anything else. Like, yes, this is a Tim Burton film, it's very identifiable, but it hasn't felt genuine in a while. Like, it hasn't felt like innovative. And I don't think this does feel innovative. This is kind of playing the hits. But in playing the hits, I expected this to be a lot worse, because like you, John, I was never bored. I still had a good time. I thought there were a couple of good gags that landed. There were a couple of bits that really pissed me off. I have to admit, I found the soundtrack quite grating. Some of the song choices were a bit obvious and stuff like that, especially when you're in the afterlife and there's a soul train. And some of
which they play twice.
Yes, exactly. And some of the choices there, I was just like, okay, I see what you did there. Good, that's fine once, but don't do it twice.
That struck me as a sort of white guy's idea of black people.
Yes. Well, because it's only black people doing Soul Train in their it looked like Thriller. As well, but and that looked like the most fun anyone was having. Also, it was on the Soul Train platform. I wanted to be there.
Well, whenever there was music in it, I mean, I see what you mean about that particular bit. But whenever there was some musical sequences which I thought worked very well, and people looked like they were enjoying themselves. I'm thinking of the MacArthur Park. Specifically. And to come back to something you said earlier, David, about it being the blood splatter being a little bit more, there was a joke about Disney, which you felt that he was shaking off those shackles, which had almost caused his retirement after Dumbo. So there was a joke that in there, like, we're not going to do any Disney stuff. I just wish that freedom, that newfound freedom, would have brought something about which was a little bit, I didn't mind messy, but more anarchy that felt like it was meant to be anarchy, rather than because you just hadn't written the third draft of the script that you obviously needed to write.
And airing your issues with traveling, like the global entry line.
But also that, or it could have gone down a route. I know the first one was a PG film, and clearly to stick to the spirit of the first, he kind of needed it to. I almost wish he'd gone a little bit more irreverent and made it something a little bit more. Well, I wouldn't say challenging, just a little bit more of a slap. Just like, oh, we're going there, are we? Oh, okay, right. So these people have grown up, and with the growing up comes a little bit more horror, maybe. I don't know.
I wonder what this film would have been like with Chris Miller and Phil Lord directing it.
Right.
Like really zippy, really, a banger minute, a joker minute, everything, great needle drops. And just not hanging about.
Yeah, and when you do look at the original, like, especially because Michael Keaton's not in the... I like the fact that they kept him, that his screen time to a minimum, because in the original he's on screen for less than 15 minutes, and I think that's pretty much the same here.
Yeah.
But what was lacking is, in the original, his gags were kind of rat-a-tat. It was very kind of, one after the other. Here it just felt a little bit less kind of speedy, and maybe that's a bit of a shame.
Yeah. I did find Willem Dafoe funny. I find Justin Theroux was a little bit easy pickings, but
especially because Theroux, as David was saying, if we're talking about the energy sucker, which she's addicted to pills, it seems like we learn early on, but that goes away real quick.
Yeah.
And I think he needs to be constructed, his character, in a way that made that more obvious, that he is using her. And it's not that it's not obvious, it's just... And it just feels really basic. I don't know.
Yeah, very mid, as the kids would say.
Very demure.
Yeah.
Oh, stop.
Okay, well, we're right at the very beginning of the festival, obviously, and we've got, 10 days ahead of us? No, I mean, come on, we're on the Lido of Venice. Yes. The sun is shining. It's 30 degrees in the shade. We're looking at the sea, just to paint you the picture. I'm not sure you can hear this, but the waves are crashing behind us on the beach.
Bambinos are crying.
Exactly. And so, what are we looking forward to?
Well, we just walked out of the Sigourney Weaver press conference, which was a highlight for me because she's the goddess to me. But
I had the opportunity to talk to her as well.
I didn't trust my voice. She actually got kind of emotional answering a couple questions, which was nice. I mean, not that I want to see her cry, but I'm really looking forward to Queer and The Brutalist and Baby Girl off the top of my head.
Same. I mean, Queer, Luca Guadagnino, who I think is incapable of making a bad film. I don't think that Challengers was all that this year, but I am really looking forward to seeing Daniel Craig in Queer, because I think he's a fine actor and is making some interesting choices with regards to roles.
There's also a little bit of awards buzz already, and Venice is a very good platform for launching an Oscar campaign.
Yeah, it's proven its credentials in that respect, because I think in the last 10 years, like everything that's been in competition has raked in the Oscars. So yeah, that could be one. Like Nick, the Brutalist looks very interesting. I'd say, and I'm going to mispronounce her name atrociously, the Georgian director Dea Kulumbikashvili.
Exactly.
Yeah, who has, thank you, John, who has a film called April, and I loved her debut film Beginning so much. And this is a film about somebody who does clandestine abortions, and yeah, that I'm really looking forward to. And of course, we don't know; it's all unknown quantity. So the joy of being here is just to get those surprises. I'm trying to think. Well, of course, the new Almodovar as well. The Room Next Door. His first English language feature, because he did Strange Way of Life, the short.
With the one with Tilda, The Human Voice.
The Human Voice as well, yeah. And here we have Tilda Swinton and Julianne Moore. So I think that could be very interesting. So no, it's looking promising. I think I will say this, and I was telling this to Nick this morning. I don't know how excited I am about Joker Folie à Deux. I think it looks ambitious, but I can't deny I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of the first one. I thought it was a very derivative of other films and was very overrated. And I'm
5 stars.
I see. Well, I'm looking forward to kind of being proven wrong, because I think this, a jukebox musical is what they're marketing it as, and I think that could be interesting. And I do rate Lady Gaga on screen.
Yeah, no, I really did like the first one. I thought it was great. It was one of those films that I went to see after it was after the festival, when it was released, and I saw it in an Italian cinema, packed out, and at the end of the screening, everyone applauded, and I've never heard that outside of a festival. Wow. So, yeah, I think there was a backlash to it, certainly. And some of that backlash had a validity to it, but I also thought there was an element to the backlash, which was the momentum of how much the forward lash had perhaps gone. Yes. So it was a sort of reaction. Likewise, I'm very much looking forward to Brady Corbett's film, The Brutalist, which is a punishing 3 hours plus. Running time,
but with an intermission.
It's got an intermission.
We have a 15-minute intermission.
Yes.
So
thank
that noise
the Merry
you just
Lord.
heard was, the collective
my buttocks.
bladders and buttocks of all the journalists kind of screaming for joy. But yeah, no, well, I mean, Nick has been reading the book.
Well, The Fountainhead.
Yes, The Fountainhead.
Upon which I guess it's heavily influenced.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Ayn Rand's.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. I didn't know that. I was going in blind, but okay, that's a really fascinating. Ayn Rand, obviously a very important figure for the right.
Yeah.
That's the book most quoted, least read, I think.
It's got some compelling quotes in it. She could write the hell out of some statements. I'll say that. Characters, I don't know, but
well, that's one that's on my review list. So I'll be reviewing that for Sight and Sound. I'll be reviewing Beetlejuice for Sight and Sound. So keep your eyes out for that. I think I've got one other. Oh, Horizon Chapter 2, which I'm also looking forward to, as the only person in Europe who enjoyed Horizon Chapter 1, Kevin Costner's sort of straightforward traditional Western.
Are we not doubling up with the names anymore? Because I enjoyed that earlier on.
Oh, Beetlejuice, Horizon Chapter 2, Horizon Chapter 2.
Yeah, and, I'm looking very much forward to Queer.
Baby girl.
Baby girl.
Some of them work better than others. Absolutely. Well, we're going to try and do a podcast every couple of days, if not on a daily basis. We'll see how it goes as a festival progresses. But until then, thank you so much, Nicholas.
Thank you very much as well.
And thank you, David.
Thank you.
$1-800-Flowers.com knows that a gift is never just a gift. A gift is an expression of everything you feel and helps to build more meaningful relationships. 1-800-Flowers takes the pressure off by helping you navigate life's important moments by making it simple to find the perfect gift. From flowers and cookies to cake and chocolate, 1-800-Flowers helps guide you in finding the right gift to say how you feel. To learn more, visit 1-800-Flowers.com/ACAST. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/ACAST.
Cue the fireplace and your favorite fall movie. There's nothing better than a cozy evening at home with a glass of First Leaf wine. First Leaf is a personalized wine club that delivers right to your door. Sounds magical, right? They get to know your favorite tasting notes, which varietals you enjoy, and whether you prefer sweet or dry wines. So in every shipment, you get bottles tailored to your unique palate. Go to tryfirstleaf.com/fall to get your first 6 wines for just $44.95 with free shipping.
Every idea starts with a problem. Warby Parker's was simple. Glasses are too expensive. So they set out to change that. By designing glasses in-house and selling directly to customers, they're able to offer prescription eyewear that's expertly crafted and unexpectedly affordable. Warby Parker glasses are made from premium materials like impact-resistant polycarbonate and custom acetate. And they start at just $95, including prescription lenses. Get glasses made from the good stuff. Stop by a Warby Parker store near you.